I want to get your reaction to what you're seeing now develop in mail-in balloting. It's been attacked by President Trump relentlessly, former President Trump, attacked by Republicans. And here's the state of Nevada stepping up and saying it's the way to do it. That's what we're going to do.
Well, that's right. And, you know, up until 2020, there were multiple states, including states like Utah, that have expanded vote by mail greatly. They mail a ballot to every voter in the state of Utah, and they did so prior to 2020. Montana and states like Arizona and Florida all have been expanding vote by mail for a long period of time. And so, you know, there's been growth in this use and this method of voting for the last over 20 years now. It became a partisan issue because one person started attacking it from the White House last year. And, you know, we've spent the last year really fact checking and putting out the correct information and research to avoid that. And, you know, the other thing I would say is there are multiple states that are expanding it after their experience in the pandemic, including many northeastern states. Vermont passed a unanimous bill out of committee that advanced on to the floor in both chambers, and we expect it to be signed by the governor if it hasn't been so yet, just like what happened in Nevada. So there's multiple states advancing this and moving it forward, and there's other states that are frankly feeding into and believing the lies and conspiracies and trying to restrict voting access in a very partisan and direct attack on voters of all partisan stripes. This hurts everyone when voters' access is hurt.
The biggest state in the country with the most voters, California, sent out a ballot to every single one of them. If there were going to be glitches in the system, it would have been presumably in the biggest one. And California reporting on the mail-in ballot process seemed flawless. There were no complaints about it, certainly from anyone in California, and voters took to it. Many of whom had never voted that way before. They adapted to it immediately.
Well, that's correct. And California, as you mentioned, is the largest state with the largest population. And they also are home to 5 counties that are larger than upwards of 40 states. So they have significantly large jurisdictions within California. They had a tremendous experience, and they worked together collectively, election officials and legislators and voting rights groups and nonprofit organizations. They all worked together to pull off a significant transformation in a pandemic. Now they're looking to make that permanent. I'll never say that elections cannot be improved. If we're not trying to continually improve policies, processes, and procedures after every election, we're doing it wrong. We should always be looking for opportunities to make voting more accessible for anyone and everyone that wants to participate in the election. So I'll never be one to say that everything was perfect, but certainly it was amazing to see what election officials did across the country during a pandemic. And I'm really excited and optimistic about the future of not only vote by mail, but other innovations in the election process to continually improve the voting experience, because we need to put voters first. And that's really the key to all of this.
You've used the phrase for what I call vote by mail. You've used the phrase vote at home. And what I like about that phrase is it expresses just how simple and user-friendly you want the voting experience to be. And in the past, up until the vote by mail movement, voting has always been about having to fit your life into the voting process. It's going to be this many hours at your polling place. No one is available for all of those hours. Someone might be able to go after work. Someone might be able to go before work. And so this idea of I can do it at my kitchen table whenever I need to do it, it seems to me, is the highest likelihood there is of getting high voter turnout.
Well, that's exactly right. And the benefits of voting at home, as we describe it, and the reason we say voting at home is because while voters receive their ballots through the mail at home, there are multiple options to submit that ballot back, including dropping it off in person at a voting location or the clerk's office, dropping it in a drop box, or using the United States Postal Service to deliver it back. And the great thing about voting at home is you have all those options. And as you mentioned, you're not restricted to the days and times that the government sets for you. You can do it at night at your kitchen table, like I do with my children. I have an 8 and 10-year-old, and every election, they help me with my ballot. They ask me questions like, what does governor do, mommy? And what does mayor do? And what's a school board? And I use it as a civics lesson every single time the ballot arrives. And we have that experience every election. And then they go walk with me down to the drop box or the mailbox and submit it back in. And so the opportunity really with voting at home is tremendous for parents, for children, for anybody that's working multiple jobs or going to school, and anyone that wants to be more informed about what's on their ballot, because you have time to actually research issues, get informed. You might spend a few days, and that's fine. And you're not constricted by when the government tells you that you can show up to vote at a polling place.
Quickly before we go, what do you say to Republicans who had been strong users of absentee voting, as they used to call it, mail-in voting? They've been strong users of it until Donald Trump was telling them not to. What do you say to them when they say, we suddenly now believe that there's more opportunity for fraud in mail-in ballots?
Well, I would strongly urge them to get the facts and get the research. We have a lot of the Mythbuster type documents on our website, but I think also ignore the disinformation. The lies and conspiracies that are spreading right now about the voting process, whether it be vote by mail or voting technology providers or what have you, is massive. And disinformation continues to be the biggest election security issue that we face. We have to continue to fight it handedly every day with the facts and the figures and the evidence-based elections and all of the research that goes into this. So I would encourage them to ignore the noise and use the method of voting that works for them, and get more information from local officials or state officials if they have questions about it.